Welcome back. I'm your host at Navy Legends, and I want to begin this one with a question that every naval commander operating in the Red Sea theater has been asking since the autumn of 2025. What happens when the threat goes underwater? Because everything that has been discussed about the Houthi military threat, the one-way attack drones, the anti-ship ballistic missiles, the sea-skimming cruise missiles, shares one common characteristic. It comes from above the surface. It is visible, at least in principle, to radar. It can be engaged, at least in principle, by a ship's air defense systems. The Phalanx can see it. The SM-2 can reach it. The Aegis can track it. The entire defensive architecture of a modern surface combatant was designed around the assumption that the threat arrives from the air or from the surface, not from below. On the morning of September 28th, 2026, the USS Mason, DDG-87, an Arleigh Burke-class flight-to-a-guided missile destroyer, was moored at Pier 6 of Camp Lemonnier, the United States Naval and Air Expeditionary Base at Djibouti, Republic of Djibouti. She had been in port for 41 hours, conducting a scheduled maintenance period, fuel and stores replenishment, and crew rest following 23 consecutive days of operational tasking in the Red Sea. Her crew of 280 was in a reduced watch rotation, port and starboard watches, half the crew aboard at any given time, the other half on liberty in the carefully monitored environment of Camp Lemonier's recreation facilities. Her Aegis combat system was in port standby mode. Her VLS hatches were closed and safety pinned. Her sonar systems, both the bow-mounted AN/SQS-53C and the towed array, were offline and stowed for the maintenance period. She was, in the terminology of naval operations, a ship at rest. In the operational planning concept of the Houthi Naval Warfare Committee, the cell within the broader IRGC advised military structure responsible for maritime operations against the United States and its allies, a ship at rest in port is not a less valuable target. It is a more valuable target. Because a ship at rest cannot maneuver. Because a ship at rest has its active defense systems powered down. Because a ship at rest is surrounded by the acoustic, thermal, and hydrodynamic clutter of a busy port environment that masks the approach of a threat until the threat is already inside the perimeter. And because the psychological and political impact of an attack on a U.S. Navy warship in a port, in what should be a sanctuary, is orders of magnitude greater than an attack at sea, it signals that there is no safe harbor, that the reach of the adversary extends not just to the operational area, but to the base itself. The weapon that the Houthi Maritime Warfare Cell deployed on September 28, 2026, was not a drone. It was not a missile. It was an underwater unmanned vehicle, a UUV, designated by U.S. intelligence analysts as the Thalab-1, Arabic for fox, assembled from components that were equal parts Iranian engineering, commercial off-the-shelf electronics, and improvisation developed over 18 months of operational testing in the shallow waters of the Yemeni coast. The Thalab-1 is a torpedo-shaped autonomous underwater vehicle, 4.8 meters in length and 324 millimeters in diameter, small enough to be transported in the back of a commercial fishing boat, small enough to be launched over the side without any specialized equipment, and designed to navigate autonomously using a combination of inertial navigation, acoustic Doppler velocity measurement, and a passive acoustic seeker that homes on the low-frequency mechanical noise of a ship's hull systems during the terminal phase of its approach. It carries a 90-kilogram shaped charge warhead, smaller than a heavyweight torpedo, but more than sufficient to breach the hull plating of a surface warship below the waterline. Its maximum operational speed is 12 knots. Its range at cruise speed of 6 knots is approximately 28 kilometers. It operates at depths between 2 and 18 meters, shallow enough to navigate in harbor approaches, deep enough to avoid detection by most surface and aerial observation. Its acoustic signature at cruise speed is assessed by the Naval Undersea Warfare Center, as approximately equivalent to a large marine mammal, a dolphin or a small whale, making passive acoustic detection in a busy port environment extremely challenging. 2 Thalab-1 vehicles were deployed from a Yemeni-flagged commercial fishing dhow that had entered the Gulf of Tajura, the body of water on which Camp Lemonnier sits, 11 days before the attack. The dhow had been in the Gulf for those 11 days under the cover of normal fishing activity, moving between anchorages, observed and logged by harbor authority tracking systems as a routine commercial vessel. Its actual purpose had been the detailed acoustic survey of Camp Lemonnier's harbor approach, the mapping of the pier layout using the Thalab-1's onboard sonar in survey mode during 2 nighttime reconnaissance runs, and the pre-positioning of the 2 attack vehicles in a shallow mud-bottom concealment site 3.4 kilometers from Pier 6. The concealment site had been selected by an IRGCN maritime advisor who understood the specific limitations of Camp Lemonnier's harbor security infrastructure. The fixed underwater sensor array installed in 2019 covers the main channel approach, but has 2 documented shadow zones in the shallow mudflat areas east and southeast of the main pier complex. The Thalab-1 vehicles had been positioned in one of those shadow zones. They had been sitting there, powered down, for 9 days. At 2:17:44 on September 28th, an activation signal, transmitted via a commercial underwater acoustic modem mounted beneath the keel of the fishing dhow, now anchored 2.8 kilometers from the concealment site in the middle of the fishing fleet anchorage, woke both vehicles. Their navigation systems initialized, cross-checked their stored waypoint data against their inertial measurement unit readings, and confirmed their position within 1.4 meters of expected. Their passive acoustic seekers activated and began sampling the ambient harbor environment. The acoustic picture was rich with target data: the hum of the Mason's APU running on the pier, the circulation pumps of the fuel barge moored at Pier 7, the low-frequency vibration of the pier's electrical shore power connections. The seeker algorithms compared these returns against the stored target acoustic signature profiles loaded before deployment. The Mason's APU signature, a distinctive 23 Hz fundamental with harmonics at 46 and 69 Hz, characteristic of her specific auxiliary power unit configuration, was in the database. The seeker flagged the bearing and range. Both vehicles confirmed the same target solution independently. Their propulsion systems powered up to attack speed. At 2:19:08, both Thalab-1 vehicles began their terminal approach runs toward Pier 6. Time to target at cruise attack speed of 10 knots, approximately 11 minutes. The harbor security watch at Camp Lemonnier on the morning of September 28th consisted of 2 elements relevant to underwater threat detection: the fixed underwater sensor array monitoring the main channel approach, and a Mark 18 Mod 2 underwater drone, a U.S. Navy Remus 100 class inspection vehicle, which had completed its nightly pier inspection sweep at 0:45 and returned to its dock. The next scheduled sweep was at 5 o'clock. The window between 0:45 and 5 o'clock, a window of 4 hours and 15 minutes during which the pier's immediate underwater environment was not being actively surveilled, was the window the Thalab-1 deployment had been designed to exploit. At 2:26:14, 7 minutes and 6 seconds into the approach run, the Harbor Security Watch's fixed sensor array registers an anomaly. Not a clear contact, not a torpedo track, a diffuse low-frequency return in the 18 to 25 Hz band, bearing approximately 112 degrees from the array's primary hydrophone cluster, at a range consistent with 1.2 to 1.8 kilometers. The system's automated classifier assigns it a preliminary designation: biologics possible, confidence low. The watch operator, a petty officer second class from Naval Security Forces, examines the return. He has seen similar detections before. This approach to the harbor channels dolphins and other marine mammals with some regularity, and the classifier frequently flags biological contacts in this frequency band. He logs the contact, assigns it a watch track number, and marks it for the senior watch officer's review. He does not call general quarters. The confidence level is low. The contact is classified as a probable biological. He has no reason to believe otherwise. At 2:29:41, 12 minutes and 33 seconds after the vehicles began their approach run, the first Thalab-1 arrives beneath the Mason's keel at frame 88, approximately 34 meters forward of the engineering spaces. Its passive acoustic seeker has locked the ship's APU signature. Its terminal approach logic, sensing the proximity of the hull above it at a depth of 3.1 meters, triggers the warhead arming sequence. The 90-kilogram shaped charge detonates. The shaped charge, a Monroe effect weapon designed to project a focused jet of metallite-lined copper at approximately 8,000 meters per second, penetrates the Mason's 19mm HY-80 keel plating and enters the void space between the double bottom and the ship's fuel tank arrangement. The jet's primary energy is absorbed by the fuel tank structure, but the detonation's blast component, the 360-degree pressure wave that accompanies any high-explosive event, is not absorbed. It travels outward through the water and into the hull simultaneously. At 3.1 meters standoff from the keel, the blast load produces a sharp, asymmetric upward impulse across a 6-meter section of the ship's bottom. The keel buckles upward by 8 centimeters across frames 84 to 92. 3 fuel tank welds in the affected section fail. JP-5 aviation fuel, 14,000 liters of it, stored in the affected tank cells, begins entering the void space, and then, through the fractured keel plating, into the harbor water. The fuel creates an immediate fire hazard in the harbor environment. It also creates a visible emergency. Within 90 seconds of the detonation, harbor security cameras detect a spreading fuel slick around Pier 6's inboard side. Inside the Mason, the detonation sounds and feels nothing like what most of the crew have been trained to expect from a weapon impact. There is no overhead explosion, no shock wave from the air, no penetrating strike through a visible surface. There is instead a deep, resonant hammer blow through the keel, felt through the feet of every sailor aboard as a sharp, single thump, followed immediately by the activation of every flooding alarm in the ship's forward bilge monitoring system. The damage control petty officer on watch in the after engineering spaces, feeling the thump and seeing 3 flood alarms activate simultaneously, reaches for the 1MC without hesitation. Flooding, flooding. Forward bilge spaces, frames 84 to 92. This is not a drill. The Mason's duty officer, the most senior officer aboard during the port watch rotation, is on the quarterdeck within 45 seconds. He has the preliminary picture in under 2 minutes. Keel damage, forward fuel tank rupture, flooding at an assessed rate of 800 liters per minute in the void space. No fire aboard the ship, yet. Potential fire hazard from the fuel slick in the harbor water. He orders general quarters and immediately contacts the base watch officer and the ship's commanding officer, who is in his quarters ashore at Camp Lemonnier. And then the second Thalab-1 arrives. The second vehicle, approaching on a slightly different track from the first, offset by 22 meters to the stern, has been running 34 seconds behind its partner. Its acoustic seeker has been homing on the same APU signature. The first detonation produced a sharp transient that momentarily saturated the seeker's frequency band, causing a 3.1-second interruption in its terminal homing logic. The vehicle's backup inertial guidance maintained its course during those 3.1 seconds. When the seeker reacquired, the vehicle was at 18 meters range from the hull. It was already inside its minimum safe abort distance. The second 90-kilogram shaped charge detonates at frame 147, amidships, directly beneath the ship's main machinery spaces, at 2:30:19, 38 seconds after the first detonation. This one is worse. The main machinery space keel section, unlike the forward fuel tank area, does not have the energy-absorbing benefit of a liquid-filled tank between the keel and the critical internal machinery. The shaped charge jet and the blast wave reach the reduction gearing for the port propulsion shaft, with only the double-bottom void space as attenuation. The reduction gear housing, a precision-machined steel assembly weighing 4,200 kilograms, is struck by the blast load and shifted laterally by 3.2 centimeters on its mounting bed. That 3.2 centimeter shift is enough to misalign the gear mesh by a degree that makes the entire port propulsion train inoperable until rebuilt. The machinery space flooding, through a 0.7 meter breach in the keel plating, begins at a rate of 2,100 liters per minute. The double-bottom tank provides temporary containment, but its capacity is finite. The inner watertight deck above the machinery space is intact and holds. The Mason will not flood uncontrollably, but she will not be moving under her own power. In the machinery space at the moment of the second detonation, 4 sailors are on watch. 3 are thrown off their feet by the shock. 2 sustain fractures, 1 a broken wrist, 1 a compression fracture of a thoracic vertebra from impact with a machinery casing. 1 sustains serious burns to his hands and forearms when a hydraulic line fractures and sprays hot hydraulic fluid across the watch station. The 4th sailor is in the bilge inspection area at the moment of detonation, 2.1 meters below the main machinery deck. The upward shock impulse throws him against the inspection hatch, combing. He sustains a traumatic brain injury and loses consciousness. He is found by the damage control team responding to the second flooding alarm 90 seconds after the detonation, evacuated to the ship's medical bay, and transferred by helicopter to the U.S. military medical facility at Camp Lemonnier within 14 minutes. He is in surgery within 30 minutes. 9 sailors total are injured across both detonations. 1 is critical. 2 require surgical care. 6 sustain injuries that will keep them from duty for between 2 and 8 weeks. The Mason will not sink. Her damage control teams are professional, trained, and responding with exactly the kind of organized urgency that separates a ship that survives from one that does not. But she will not be operational. The keel damage, the machinery space flooding, and the propulsion shaft misalignment represent a repair package that the Naval Sea Systems Command's initial assessment will place at 7 to 11 months of dry dock work. The most capable ship currently assigned to the Red Sea deterrence mission will be in dry dock for the better part of a year. At 2:47:22, 28 minutes after the first detonation, harbor security forces, responding to the fuel slick and the general quarters alert from the Mason, locate and recover one of the Thalab-1 vehicles. The vehicle, the first one which had successfully executed its attack, did not self-destruct after detonation. Its post-attack protocol was to shut down its propulsion system and sink to the harbor bottom, where it would be difficult to find quickly. Harbor security divers, operating in the fuel-contaminated water with limited visibility, locate it by dragging a grapnel line across the harbor bottom in the area of the slick. They bring it to the surface, intact. The intact recovery of a Thalab-1 UUV is, from an intelligence standpoint, among the most significant single events of the entire Houthi maritime campaign. The vehicle is immediately secured by explosive ordnance disposal personnel, transported to a secure facility, and subjected to a technical exploitation process that, within 72 hours, yields the vehicle's navigation logs, its acoustic signature library, its communication module firmware, and the manufacturing markings on 17 of its internal components. The manufacturing markings trace to Iranian defense industry suppliers, with documented links to the IRGC aerospace and naval force procurement network. The link to Iran is confirmed, in hardware, in recovered evidence that will hold up to any legal standard of proof. The U.S. response is authorized by CENTCOM at 6:14, 3 hours and 45 minutes after the first detonation, under the same pre-delegated strike authorization framework that has governed counter-Houthi operations throughout 2026. The target package is built around 3 categories of infrastructure. First, the Thalab-1 production and assembly facility, assessed by the CIA's Maritime Threat Cell as operating in the port district of Al-Hudaydah, a semi-industrial facility using commercial marine equipment repair as cover for UUV production. Second, the IRGCN Maritime Advisory Cell, operating from a compound outside Sana'a, that U.S. intelligence has assessed as providing technical oversight of the Thalab-1 program. Third, the harbor surveillance network at Ras Isa that supports Houthi maritime targeting operations. At 7:31:04, 4 Tomahawk Block 5 missiles launched from the USS Gravely DDG-107, operating 280 nautical miles southwest in the Red Sea, arrive over Al-Hudaydah. The production facility, identified by its distinctive thermal signature, consistent with epoxy curing ovens used in composite hull fabrication, takes 2 direct impacts. The facility's roof structure collapses. Post-strike thermal imagery shows no residual heat consistent with active manufacturing equipment. The facility is assessed as destroyed. The Ras Isa surveillance network takes 2 Tomahawk impacts against its antenna arrays and power generation infrastructure. The network goes offline. Its restoration will require equipment that must be shipped from Iran. The IRGCN advisory compound outside Sana'a presents the engagement's most significant fog of war moment. The target package was built on imagery and signals intelligence collected over a 6-week period that placed the compound's occupancy pattern, the times when the advisory cell was most likely to be present, as concentrated in the early morning hours, between 200 and 800 local, when operational planning sessions were assessed as most active. The strike was timed to arrive at 7:44 local, inside that window. 2 Tomahawk rounds are assigned to the compound. The first Tomahawk impacts at 7:44:17 and destroys the compound's main building. The second Tomahawk, approaching from a different bearing to reduce the risk of the 2 rounds interfering with each other's detonation effects, conducts its DSMAC terminal approach at 7:44:29. Its scene matching system compares the incoming optical return with the stored pre-strike imagery. The imagery shows a walled compound with a main building and 2 outbuildings. The DSMAC return shows the main building has already been destroyed by the first Tomahawk 12 seconds earlier. The scene matching algorithm, designed to abort if the target geometry does not match the preloaded imagery, flags a mismatch and initiates its abort sequence. The second Tomahawk climbs, safes its warhead, and impacts a hillside 1.1 kilometers north of the compound. Its warhead does not detonate. 1 Tomahawk wasted because the first Tomahawk was 12 seconds ahead of it and destroyed the scene match reference before the second round could confirm its aim point. A sequence error in the strike planning. The 2 rounds should have been assigned different aim points within the compound, rather than the same building from different bearings. The planning error is identified in the post-strike assessment and corrected in the standard operating procedures for multi-round Tomahawk strikes against single structures. The advisory cell has survived. The Thalab-1 program has been set back. The production facility is destroyed. The harbor surveillance network is offline. But it has not ended. The technical exploitation of the recovered vehicle is producing intelligence that will inform harbor security upgrades at every U.S. naval facility in the region. Camp Lemonnier's underwater sensor array will be expanded to eliminate its shadow zones within 60 days. The Remus 100 inspection schedule will shift from 2 sweeps per night to continuous operations during any period when a U.S. Navy vessel is pierside. Every U.S. naval base in the region will receive a copy of the Thalab-1's acoustic signature library within 72 hours of the technical exploitation report being finalized. The next Thalab-1 will have a harder approach. Camp Lemonnier's sensor array will be expanded to eliminate shadow zones within 60 days. The Remus 100 inspection schedule shifts to continuous operations whenever a U.S. vessel is pierside. Every regional naval base receives the Thalab-1 acoustic signature library within 72 hours. Here at Navy Legends, September 28th, tells us something asymmetric maritime warfare has been telling naval commanders for centuries. A harbor is not a sanctuary. A moored ship is a target. A $40,000 weapon has just put a $2.1 billion warship in dry dock for close to a year and sent 9 American sailors to the hospital. The cost-exchange ratio is approximately 50,000 to 1 in the adversary's favor. The Thalab-1 sat on the harbor bottom for 9 days, listening to an auxiliary power unit from 3 kilometers away in the dark. The question it has posed to the United States Navy is a $40 billion question. How do you defend a pier? Stay informed, stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next one.